Hello everybody and welcome to the first video in a series of videos on watercolor painting activities. Now for the very first video, we are going to paint this really pretty array of watercolor polka dots. And on top of that, we are also going to paint on this really nice watercolor feature to add and make a really nice painting. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. As you've seen, we are going to be painting some really pretty watercolor polka dots. And in order to do this, we're going to go step by step. And first, we're going to use base colors and paint just normal polka dots on a sheet of paper. Then I'm going to show you how to get some of these really cool watercolor effects on top of these polka dots, and it should hopefully be really fun and relaxing. So let's go ahead and get started. You're going to need obviously a blank sheet of paper, you're going to need a watercolor palette, and you're going to need a cup of water with your paintbrushes. You'll also need a paper towel, as we will wipe down the brushes every now and then just to refresh the colors. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take this broad brush right here, and let's go ahead and start with yellow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip this broad brush into some water and start mixing the water with the yellow color. Now as you're doing this is how you actually get the color to come into the water, and that's how you then paint it onto your paper. So go ahead, do it about 2 or 3 times, and though it might be hard to see, you can see some of the color actually is coming off on the brush, which is what we want. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get some yellow, and we're going to pick up some color on our paintbrush, and we're just going to start by drawing some simple polka dots. I recommend drawing about 2 or 3 so then we can use other colors and fill up the whole paper with a lot of different colored polka dots. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we're just going to draw some simple polka dots with this color. You may need to go back and reapply some paint, and you're just going to continue this, going in circles and completely filling in your polka dot. Now as you do this, as you can see, this is not a perfect circle, and it does not need to be. You can even use different shapes if you want. It is completely up to you. Your polka dots do not have to be perfect circles. They can be, a little different. It gives it customization, and you can be as creative as you want with your particular paper. So now I've drawn one, I'm going to continue, and I'm going to draw another one. I'm going to go ahead and make this one a little bit smaller, just to give it some variety. Around, just going in circles. As you can see, this is not a perfect circle, and that is perfectly okay. You may need at some point to re-dip your paintbrush into some water, and go ahead and put some more water back into the palette. This is going to continue making the color go back on your brush. You may need to recolor your brush every now and then. So I'm going to draw one more. I'm going to draw another polka dot. And this one's going to be a little bit bigger than the one I just drew, and a little bit smaller than the first one I drew. And again, you can customize this as much as you want. You can use different colors. You can place these polka dots in different areas of your paper. It is completely up to you. However, I will recommend that if you want to do a different color, that you do lighter colors. And this is because later on we're going to add darker colors on top of these colors, and you want to make sure that they will show up. So for me, I'm going to draw one more yellow polka dot, and I'm going to do a little bit up here. And there you have it. So this is my paper so far. It is just 4 simple polka dots, all in the color yellow. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to dip our yellow paintbrush into the water and mix it around. And what we're going to do is get that color out. So this is where you may need a paper towel. And this is where you're going to dry off your paintbrush. Do it a couple times. Make sure you get all the color off so that you don't mix the colors with the other colors. It'll keep it nice and clean, and will help you keep your colors nice and pretty and vibrant. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose blue, this really pretty light blue. I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did with the yellow. I'm going to dip in this large paintbrush into the water, and I'm going to mix it around with the blue paint. And again, as I'm doing this, you can tell that the blue paint is going to start coming off into my brush, and this is what you want. Alright, so now that we have our blue, like I said, we're just going to do the same thing as we did with the yellow polka dots. We're going to get the color blue onto our paintbrush, and we're going to go ahead and start just calmly drawing some pretty blue circles. Again, as we're doing this, your circles do not have to be perfect, and if you want, you can use other colors. Don't be afraid to customize your paper. The more you customize it, the more it's going to be yours, the more it's going to be special. So I'm going to get some more paint, and I'm going to go ahead and put a blue one up here. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, just a tiny bit. Alright, I'm going to do a third one, and that is going to be the last blue polka dot that I'm going to do. But in a second, we are going to go ahead and paint 2 more colors of polka dots and fill up this paper with a bunch of pretty colors. Okay, so let's go ahead, rinse off your broad paintbrush, mix it in the water, go ahead again, take your paper towel, and get all that color off so that you do not mix it with the other colors. Keep all the other colors nice and clean. Alright. So now I think I'm going to do orange. Alright, so again, I'm going to dip your brush into the water, and you're going to go ahead and start putting water into the orange colored palette. Do this a few times so that you can really get the color come out. Alright, so now that we have our orange color, what we're going to do is get some of this color on our paintbrush, just like this, and we're going to start adding more polka dots. And you can put your polka dots anywhere on the paper, You can keep them close together. You can spread them far apart. You can make smaller ones. It is all up to you. It will look great no matter what you do. So I'm gonna put one more up here. This. Simple, easy circles. They do not have to be perfect. Mine definitely are not perfect, and that is perfectly okay. I'm gonna do one more orange up here in the top right. All right. So now I'm gonna do my last color. Now I'm going to again rinse off my paintbrush that has the color orange on it. I'm going to dry it off, make sure I get all the color off. As you can see, there was still plenty of color on there. And just dry it off until you have a good amount of it gone and your brush is nice and clean. Alright, so for the last color, of course you can choose whatever colors you use. For me, I'm going to choose green. So dip your paintbrush in the water and start putting it into the green color. Mix it around, go in swirlies. Just make sure that you press down and you get all of that paint into the water so that you can use it. Alright, so we have our green color. I'm going to get some on my paintbrush, and then I'm going to go ahead and start making some polka dots. Exact same technique, just simple circles with different colors all around the paper. Feel free to customize yours as much as you want. Feel free to use colors. Go ahead and make it yours. Be creative and just relax. Relax and enjoy just lightly coloring in some nice polka dot circles with some nice pretty colors. Alright, I'm going to paint one more green polka dot right here. We're going to fill it in just like that. Alright, so now, as you can see, we have our base colors for our painting. And now what we are going to do is we are going to get these really pretty, bolder, more vibrant colors in the middle of our polka dots. And I'm going to show you how to get some of these really pretty designs. So, how do we do this? Well, I'll show you. So, what we're going to do is we're really going to use the water in watercolor. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our broad brush right here, and we are going to dip it into the water, all the water, and then we're going to very lightly dab on water onto first the yellow polka dots. If you decided to do another color, I recommend that you dab on water onto whatever color you painted in first. So for me, I painted in the yellow, So I'm going to add water to the yellow polka dots. Alright, and what we're going to do is we're going to keep doing this for all of our polka dots. All of our yellow ones, at least. Alright, so now we have accumulated water on all of the yellow polka dots. So what do we do now? What we do is now we're going to take our smaller brush. Before we had used the broader brush, now we're going to use our smaller one. So what we're going to do is you're going to choose another color to put on top of your polka dots. For me, I'm going to choose red. You can choose any color you'd like, and I recommend using a darker, more bolder color such as red, pink, and blue so that it shows up really well and makes a really pretty effect. So what you're going to do, you're going to dip your small paintbrush into the color that you want. For me, I'm choosing red. So I'm going to get water on my brush and put it in the red color to start getting that color into the brush. Alright. So now that we have done this, what you're going to do is you're going to take that color, red for example, and you're going to very, very lightly just skim the top of the accumulated water. And when you do this, as you can see, it begins to make really pretty effects. And what you can do is you can just gently dab on all the water, or what you can do is very, very lightly make some swirlies and just draw around. They both have very nice effects and they both look fantastic. So as you swirl around your colors, you're going to start getting some very pretty watercolor effects. But you have to make sure that you do this very lightly, or else your paint is not going to be spread around by the water, because that is what the water is doing. It is taking the color that you're using and it is spreading around all that color on top of your base color. So the water is taking the red and it's spreading around and making that famous watercolor effect on top of the yellow. So as you see here, I've done 3 circles so far, and now I'm going to do my last yellow circle. Alright, so now what do we do? Well, we're going to do the exact same thing to all of our polka dots. Now, as you see, we've only added water and color to the yellow ones. So we're going to repeat that same process for all of the other colors. So I'm going to take my broad brush right here, and I'm going to use a towel and make sure that it's clean. And then what I'm going to do is the same thing as the yellow. I'm going to take water with this brush and very lightly dab it on to the base color polka dots. Now you want to be careful because you don't want to disturb the yellow and red polka dots that you just made, or whatever color you decide to use. You want to be careful. Make sure that you do not touch it. Make sure that it has time to set and dry, because it will really make that pretty watercolor effect, and it will look very nice. So I'm going to go on and continue adding water to accumulate on top of my blue circles. For you, you're going to want to do is add water to whatever color you chose to do second. So I did my yellow one first, and I did my blue one second. Okay, so now that we have accumulated water on our blue circles, now we're gonna do the same thing as we did with the yellow ones. What we're gonna do is choose another bolder color. For me, I'm gonna choose pink, because I think the pink with the blue looks very nice. So I'm going to take my smaller brush, dip it in the water, and put it in to the pink paint. And again, I'm going to swirl around, gently press, and get that water, and get that color into the water, and get that color into your brush. Okay, so now I have pink color on my paintbrush. So I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did with the yellow ones, and I'm going to very lightly just skim over and add this color to my blue circles. I'm going to do the same thing for all these circles. Again, you can make letters, you can make shapes, you can just gently dab it in and make polka dots. And make just some really pretty watercolor designs. Alright, so now we have done the yellow and the blue polka dots. Now, all we have left to do is the orange and green ones. So let's go ahead and do that. So, first we're going to do the orange circles. So go ahead, take your broad brush, and same thing with the yellow and blue circles. We are going to gently dab on and make some water accumulate on top of the orange circle. And we're going to do this for all of the other orange circles as well. So now that we have water on all of our orange circles. We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to take our smaller brush, dip it in water, and I think I'm going to use green. I think that green on top of the orange will look very nice. So I'm going to get some water and put it into the green paint and get that green paint all in my paintbrush, so then I can put it on to the orange circles. Alright, so now that I have green paint on my brush, I'm going to go ahead and again, very, very gently, just dab on and skim the orange circles with this green. Be careful not to add too much. You want to be very limited and just add just a little bit of that color because it will spread out with the water, and if you add too much then you won't get that really pretty watercolor effect. So just be mindful, just be calm, relaxed, and just add a little bit of that color onto your base colors. Alright, so now we only have one more polka dot color to go, the green one. So just like all of our other polka dots, we are going to take our broad brush, dip it in the water, and add water to the green dots. Alright, we are almost there. Now we get to add one more color on top of our last base color. For me, I think I am going to choose, let's go with purple. Purple is a very nice color. So I'm going to dip in my small paintbrush into the water, and I'm going to mix it with the purple color and get that purple color onto my paintbrush, just like so. Now, as you can see, the purple color is a very dark color. Now, that's okay, but you may want to be careful because you don't want to add too much of a very dark color like purple onto these polka dots. If you do, it will oversaturate the green and it won't make those pretty watercolor designs that we are trying to achieve. So just keep in mind, we're going to do the same thing, but just keep in mind that with a dark color like purple, we're just gonna make sure that make sure it's very limited and just very gently add just a little bit of that color. So we're gonna keep going. Keep adding in that nice pretty purple. Gently dab in and let the water take your color and make these nice and pretty designs. Alright, that is going to be it for this tutorial. As you can see, they do not look exactly the same, but don't worry, it still needs to dry. Once this dries, it will go ahead and make some really cool designs and patterns because of all the water that you've had. Alright everybody, that is going to be it for this video. I thank you guys so much for taking your time and checking out these activities. If you guys would like to see more, go ahead and go on the channel and watch the rest of this series. So I thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.